Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yep, got you loud and clear.
I'm standing because I'm at my folks' house because I obviously got up early today. So
No stress at all. Alex has just left a message for Phil.
no, I don't know whether that's going to do me any. I don't know whether I should have done that, to be honest.
Well, no, there's commercialities behind this, right? If you don't put an announcement out today, the stock will close at fucking 16 cents. Just it will.
I don't think it would, but
Yeah. Trust us.
I mean, what that
Morning, everyone. We'll give it just a couple of minutes before we kick off. Alexander's joining, yeah?
should be. Yeah, I spoke to him 5 minutes ago.
Oh, terrific. That
There
works.
is.
Right, 1 minute, then we'll get going.
Morning, everybody.
How are you, Alex?
All right, we might kick off. So firstly, thank you everyone for joining us. Obviously, exciting day today where Chilwa Minerals will commence trading on the ASX under the code CHW at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 9:30 over here in the West. So joining us today, we have founder and managing director Cadell Buss, as well as non-executive director Alexander Shaw, who is one of the representatives of Luso Global Mining on the board. Obviously, you will all be familiar that Sequoia Corporate Finance was lead manager to the raise, and we raised $8 million at 20 cents per share for the stock to commence trading today with a market cap of $13.4 million. And we thank you all very much for your support in the raise. We'll keep this to a tight 15 minutes today, basically focusing on the near-term catalyst that the company has, which we think make it an exceptionally exciting opportunity, and why we think, having supported us in the IPO, we'd love you to further support on the screen. So Cadell, I will let you take it away with just quickly the executive summary.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks everybody for joining, and also for your support. It's a big day for us. Obviously, Alexander's here, who's flown across from the UK, so it's going to be a good day. But look, fundamentally, Chilwa was formed for this heavy mineral sands project in Lake Chilwa. The primary target is mineral sands, ilmenite and zircon, but we are sort of hopefully that there will be some potential there for rare earths, namely xenotime and monazite. We had some samples that were tested back in 2015, which gives us that indication, and we will be testing for those things. The project has had considerable funds spent on it back in 2015 by the Motor Angel Group. A la Luso Global Mining is one of their offshoots now. So we're fairly advanced. We have an inferred resource, and which will give us a fair bit to map out what we need to do in the coming months. So yeah, from our perspective, it's we think we've got a good starting platform to really progress in the coming months. Thanks, Michael. So a project partner, obviously, just as I said, Motor Angel had this license back in 2015. Luso Global Mining is an offshoot of that, of which Alexander is the managing director, and I worked for 18 months before sort of coming across this project. Fell in love with it, and 18 months later, here we are. So having Motor Angel in support is fantastic for us, especially in country. They've been in Malawi for nearly 30 years. So, you know, having them there by our side and helping us is going to be wonderful. And I suppose in relation to that jurisdictional risk sometimes that people associate with. So having a project partner like Motor Angels, a la Luso, will be fantastic. So just quickly on our board. So Phil Lucas is our chairman, very experienced mining lawyer. Myself, Manuel Mota is the grandson of the founder of Motor Angel. So to have his experience and his knowledge of Africa, he's now the deputy chair of the whole Motor Angel group, which is also which is fantastic because obviously we get to be on their radar. And of course, Alexander Shaw, he's actually Dr. Alexander Shaw. He's not just a geologist, everybody. He's actually have a PhD. So we don't actually call him doctor, but I know his mother does, but we just call him Alex. But I'm very grateful for Alex. Not only is his counsel as managing director of Luso, but you know, obviously from a geological perspective, I talk to Alex almost every night. I'm sure I drive him crazy in just trying to find out what we need to do, and he's a great sounding board for us. So just quickly on our prospective neighbourhood. So we originally, this work was done on about 400 square kilometres. We actually found another 400 square kilometres to the south. So all the previous work, we're actually talking about 400 k's, and we did some DD and managed to extend the licence. So we've actually got a very large tenement. We've got some prospective neighbourhood companies next to us. Lindian Resources are about 50 kilometres to the west of us, and obviously they've had a fantastic run recently. And then a company called Macango Resources, which is listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, abuts our tenement, and they actually have a measured rare earth resource. So, Alex, I might just get you to very quickly talk on the geological sort of potential, obviously the area to the south there for us.
Yeah, well, morning everybody, and I can only reiterate what Cadell already says. Thank you very much for your support. We're very excited to be here, and as Cadell says, I think the opportunity, the geological opportunity here is immense. We really only touched the tip of the iceberg as far as the potential goes. So the great thing about Lake Chilwa, it's an endorheic basin, which means it's basically internally draining. There are no outlets. So whatever weathers out of the catchment in the immediate vicinity basically ends up in the lake as a repository. And what that actually means is, as Cadell pointed out, our neighbours, Lindian and also Macango in the south, who are looking at rare earths, all of those materials end up in the Lake Chilwa Basin because it's the same catchment. And it's exciting as well because there's a chain of carbonatites that comes through from Mozambique into this part of southern Malawi. And Songwe Hill is the Macango Resources carbonatite that they're actively looking at down in that southeast corner, sorry. We have our own carbonatite within the lake, which is Chizzy Island, which is part of the license. So, over the millions of years that this lake has been active, all of those materials have been accumulating within the lake, the lacustrine sediments. So, as Cadell says, back in 2014, 2015, but the Mud Angel Group spent a fair amount of time busy drilling the resource on the northern perimeter of the lake basin, and we've identified the heavy mineral sands opportunity that is Lake Chilwa today. But we have effectively doubled that size by getting the remainder of the lakeshore perimeter on the southwest corner. So there's huge upside potential there.
So just on our current resource base, so we're at 62 million tonnes of heavy mineral sands, and as I said, that work was done in 2015. So for us, we believe there's a couple of, I suppose, technical sort of, I wouldn't say failings, but technical shortcomings from the previous campaign, which we will be able to sort of, again, navigate our way through. So, for example, the drilling that was done in the past was actually air core was drilled. So we've actually have a sonic drill. Now, sonic drilling is like a vacuum. So one of the things that we can do with sonic drilling is actually extract a lot more of the material in simple terms. So and very graciously, and that's one of the good things that we have with our relationship with Motor Angel, is that a rig has been purchased by the Motor Angel Group. We have an open book contract for this drilling. That drilling, we originally got quoted of about $180 in the open market. Motor Angel are graciously doing this, as I said, an open book at $60 a metre. So what was a 7,000 metre drilling program for circa 1.6 million is still going to be a 1.6 million budget, but it'll actually be about 17,000 metres. So fundamentally, that's a great bang for our buck. And in real terms, if we were in the open market, we'd need to raise another $3 million. So that's going to create immediate value. But the second and most important thing is the drilling technique. So one of the things that happened in 2014 and 15 was that of the 1,600 holes that were drilled, only 64 are actually deeper than 12 metres. So it's a very shallow resource. And the footwall where these assets and lie wasn't actually identified. So for us to go back over and twin some of those things, so twinning's actually going over some of the holes and then stepping out our drilling and infilling our drilling with the sheer number of holes we'll be able to drill is very, very exciting. I can say that the rig has arrived in Africa, which is fantastic, and training will commence in the next week or so. Sonic drilling's a bit specific. We've already logistically started sorting that out, and drilling will commence within about 2 to 3 weeks, give or take, after that training. So we've been in the background working very hard to make sure that that these things are happening sort of pretty quickly. We've also organised all our assays. Alex is actually in Perth at the moment for the listing. As I said, we've been out to the ALS lab here and inspected their facility. They do all of Iluka's work, and we wanted to make sure that all those technical side and all those assays are tested properly. So we've already set the wheels in motion for a process to make sure that assays come from Malawi down to Perth and get tested on a sort of quite a quick rotational base. So we're actually quite organised, and thanks to a lot of hard work from people in Africa and our team already. So it's the drilling's going to be quite exciting just to see where that footwall actually does end up being. I think the drill ready targets, as I said, are in the north. We're actually going to start drilling in the north and work our way south. The slide you see there is the existing 400 square kilometres. We'll also be doing some air mag. So air mag is radiometrics where the aeroplane flies over and tests where the strand line is. So that will be in the south. We don't need to do that in the north because we've already got the drill collars. So but by the time that air mag information comes back to us, we'll be well and truly ready to plan out for the area in the south. And some of the grades we have that have been come up in the past are actually quite encouraging. So again, we'll need to do the work. We're ready to do the work, and we're quite excited about what could be lying in front of us. So just in relation to the rare earth opportunities, as we've highlighted, there are some companies that are quite close to us. You can see that red line there is the strand line. That's sort of like the mineralization. Alex, I might just get you to explain the strand line concept a bit as well.
So just to explain exactly what the strand line is. So the strand line is basically the former beach of the lake, and it fluctuates as the lake fills up and as it drops down. So as it recedes, linked to climatic and local hydrological controls. Now, what happens is the wave action on the lake actually concentrates up the heavy minerals. So it's like a natural concentrator, and that's why the strand line is it's a naturally high grade accumulation of all these heavy minerals that have basically weathered out of the geology in the surrounding catchments. And that's one of the things that makes this so interesting. Unlike most lakes, which have an inlet and an outlet, because everything that goes into the basin stays there, and as the wave action is operational over millions of years, it basically works to concentrate up the heavy mineral sands and basically everything that's is separated out into lights and heavies. And that's really what we've got here. So we've got numerous different strand lines that go from high stand levels when the lake was much higher than it is currently to much lower than when it is now. So we're targeting all of these, and as Cadell said, the great thing about it is we can identify the strand lines quite effectively using airborne aeromag and also radiometrics, because the mineral composition is magnetic, so it shows up very well, and also has radionuclides in it. So when you look at the signal you get from an active and a passive airborne system, you can map this very effectively, and that gives us very clear drill targets that we can then follow up with. And as Cadell said, the big difference between the sonic rig and the air core rig, the air core rig effectively couldn't drill below the water table, and obviously because it's a lake system, the groundwater sits pretty high. With a sonic rig, you can drill well below the groundwater table, which means that we can effectively drill much deeper and basically look at where the basin fill ends and define the resource far better.
Terrific. Thanks, Alex. So obviously, most of you will have seen this slide already, but we did raise $8 million, so the issue of 40 million shares at 20 cents per share. The market capitalisation upon listing is $13.4 million. And in terms of the use of funds, 4.5 to exploration, 2.8 admin and corporate, and 0.86 million for the costs of the offer. So at this point, that's basically the presentation. Happy to open it up to any questions if people would like to ask away, or please put it in the chat or raise your hand. Happy to answer anything that you might want. Yep, there's a hand raised. Yeah, Josh. Yep, sing away, mate. Allow mic. Here we go. Josh, please ask away.
Thank you. So in terms of drilling down south, testing the alluvial zone for the rare earths or even the carbonatite, when do you think you'll sort of hit that area?
Well, we're starting in the north, and our expectations are that you're sort of looking at around 90 metres a day. But what we have done, Josh, is the air mag. We've got quotes for that. There's about an 8-week sort of like lead time on before that the plane can actually take off and get sorted. So, you'd then be sort of looking for another couple of weeks after that till you get your results back, and then from that time on, we'd be looking to drill in the south. But as I said, logistically, having been there, and Alex and I sort of walked over it sort of in February, we would be starting in the north and working our way south. So, of roughly a 9-month program, I'd say we'd be sort of hitting the southern area probably, from month 6 onwards, roughly.
Okay. So
Josh, just to add some additional information. So Chizzy Island, the carbonatite within the lake, has actually been very well mapped over the last probably 40 years. So that is a great head start for us as far as let's say the hard rock rare earth opportunity goes. That's basically a prominent hill that sticks out in the middle of the lake basin. And then as Cadell said, all the soft sediment fill on the southern side, that'll be targeted with the sonic rig. And the other option that we're looking at the moment is basically procuring a second, which will then speed up the drilling program. At the moment, the plan was to work from north to south, basically from the largest part of the identified or defined resource towards, let's say, the exploration potential in the south. But similarly, if we had 2 rigs, we could then split that workload or work program into, let's say, a resource definition in the north and an exploration program in the south. And similarly, if when it comes to drilling the hard rock carbonatite, we'd bring in a diamond rig to drill that.
Yep. Okay. So down the south, the first expectation is sonic rig test for the strand line down there, and I'm assuming, given the way you understand the geological processes, that southern zone would likely be a rare earth enriched mineral sand deposit that's fed from that carbonatite. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, there's a chain of carbonatites that come in. It's not just Songwe Hill that Makanga have got up there, 5 or 6 down there. And what we're hoping is that when we fly the airborne survey, that we could potentially pick up additional carbonatites that are effectively buried within the Lacustrine system. So that could give us additional, let's say, hard rock drill targets in the north. So yeah, we just don't know. There's a big structure that runs through the lake. I mean, the lake it's structurally controlled, like all those East African rift lakes. And these carbonatites have just come up along that big structure. So as a structural control, it's potentially very fertile.
Yep. Okay. So unless you get a second rig in, it's something you won't really touch until early next calendar year, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's the plan at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Josh. Any other questions from the floor before we wrap it up? Speak now or forever hold your peace. No, okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. As we said, we're looking forward to a successful listing today in just over a couple of hours' time. If you have any questions further following this meeting, please feel free to contact either Cadell, Alexander, or myself directly. All our contact details are available. And if you'd like to talk on anything related to the project, we're always here to help. Thank you very much, all. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you for your
everybody. Thanks
support.
again for your support. Thank you. I had a couple of messages already. People must have been on my chairman's list saying, well done. We're clear, right? Because there's 3 of us. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I've had someone already say, great job. So,
Come on, Cadell.
hey? Oh, fuck.
Turn up, mate.
Yeah.
Really can't say.
Yeah, no, that's right. So anyway, that's
These are
that
the
one
guys. These are the
right.
guys who put their money in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Correct.
so
What level on ASX? Level 40.
you what?
What
Oh,
floor am I
yeah.
going to at ASX?
I'm just going to be out the front at 9. So, you know,
Okay, I've got a couple. I'll go have breakfast now. Then I've got a few calls to make, so I'm going to call just guys that put in a bit to try and just get them on the screen this morning.
and so Alex was going to call Phil, right?
Yeah, he's left him a message.
Yeah, so Phil doesn't want to do any announcement.
I can live with the presentation not going out. It's not ideal, but the announcement's like what's the word?
I don't
Non-negotiable.
understand. Well, I don't understand what. Like we signed it all off.
I mean, kind of like this is not a good look. I mean, kind of like we're not very happy if Phil's not even showing up at the IPO, and kind of like basically he's blocking this announcement. Like that's.
Is Phil
just
not coming
fucking not
today?
on.
No, I think he's coming, isn't he? Or not? I don't know. I've told him
I don't
9
know.
o'clock.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. My understanding is he hadn't committed to it.
Oh well, I wouldn't. He hasn't actually said no. I'm pretty sure he'd be there.
Well, our confusion stems from the fact that like every time Phil doesn't like something, he says this isn't of a sufficient standard to put to the board. But like he's one person of the board as opposed to the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my confusion at the moment. Because I'm assuming, Alex,
look, I mean,
if you're comfortable with something, Manuel would be comfortable with something, which means Cadell would be comfortable with it, which means you've got 3 of the 4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, kind of like as we were discussing earlier, like, kind of I understand Phil's position as a lawyer, but and kind of let's say he's providing oversight, but like, there's compliance and there's compliance. None of us are reckless about, kind of what we're saying here. So, and it's important at the same time that the chairman is actively promoting the company. So, I think that's important. The whole point of him being a sort of, let's say a non-executive chairman and independent is that he basically comes across as a positive independent face on what we're doing here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And if he doesn't like something, then it's up to him to fix it. He can't just block it.
That was kind of my frustration yesterday in the sense of every time he asked for something to be changed, I changed it, and then there would be something that was still not of sufficient quality. So I was like, okay, I feel like you just didn't want to do this in the first place.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and if you don't, tell me, don't waste my time for fucking 3 hours yesterday.
Yeah, there's constructive criticism, and then there's just basically shutting stuff down.
Yeah, exactly right. If you didn't want certain slides in it, that's fine. Like we basically compromised on everything, which I feel like the 2 that he really didn't like were not from a legal standpoint whatsoever. They were just from a personal preference.
Yeah, exactly. Like a sonic rig, for example, that had nothing to do with it. Like, you know, kind of again, you know, there's no, let's say, subjectivity in putting up a picture with a rig saying that you're basically going to drill significantly deeper with a different type of rig. That's a technical issue.
Yeah, correct. All right. I will go grab breakfast now, but I'll make a few calls. So I'm going to call like Andre Dalton, Tom Lambeth, Harley Grosser, Josh Baker, all those guys. Just try and
Josh
get them in the
Baker,
screen.
that was interesting. He's on the call.
Yeah, well, Josh Baker's capital H, so they put in 150 odd in the end.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he originally said no, right?
He did. They're Sequoia shareholders as well.
Okay.
But Gary kind of pushed them at the end. They put a bit in.
All right. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good thing you asked a question then.
Yeah, no, he was very technical, that guy. So he was the guy that I rang up, Alex. He said no, and I just rang him to say, mate, why did you say no? And he said, I really like it. It's just that it didn't fit our thing, you know, didn't fit our investment portfolio and strategy. So he said, so yeah, there was a good conversation. He liked what we were doing and what we'd done, and you know, so
Yeah, he's good.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, gents. I will
well,
see you shortly.
all right. No worries.
Look, Michael, as I say, like any of these guys, you know, while we're in Melbourne, if anybody wants to have a chat with me or meet up with me or whatever, like, you know, kind of honestly, you know, be it here, be it Melbourne, whatever I can do to support, like, absolutely. That's why I'm here.
Okay, sweet. I will offer that to Josh because I would say he's the most technical minded of them, and so he'd get the most benefit out of a call like that. So I'll offer that to him today. Right.
Okay.
Easy
Cool.
done. See you in a bit.
Brilliant. Okay.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.